There's more homeless people here than I've ever seen in my life. They got way more homeless problem here than I've seen anywhere.
Yeah, the devil's here for real.
You know, hey, come down to Austin. I almost just got killed by a homeless person. You're like, yeah, there is that. Sorry, I forgot to warn you.
Welcome to Austin, the Texas state capital, which comes in as the 5th biggest city in Texas. Known for its huge tech boom, thriving tourist destinations, and live music scene, the city is brimming with life. But despite coming in at 5th in population size, Austin is coming in at number 1 with the highest rate of homelessness across the entire state of Texas. Behind the glittering tech boom and live music capital lies a homeless crisis that has led to violent attacks, exposed needles on the street, and a visible drug crisis that has led many to start calling Austin the next San Francisco.
Tonight, a South Austin neighborhood doesn't know what to make of a local homeless man. Residents say he uses a chainsaw and machete to cut down trees in the middle of the night. Now, he's taking a sledgehammer to city property.
A violent attack Monday night on a man walking his dog past a small homeless encampment on Pleasant Valley Road. This is the 3rd recent incident here involving a machete.
It's scary to have this right in your backyard. There's weapons out here.
The East Riverside area has seen a slew of violent incidents in the past few months.
This is the GoFundMe for Seth Gott, the teenager who was attacked by a man with a machete Tuesday.
I would be probably moving in the next year.
Upon arriving in Austin, you can immediately see how the drug crisis has taken over the city, and after getting stopped at a red light, we watched a homeless woman grab what looked like a sharp object off the ground, threaten someone with it, and then proceed to yell at every stopped vehicle along the way. And as a former resident of Austin myself, I can tell you that this is a very common scene. Now, we were on our way to meet with Jamie Hammond, a local resident who has dedicated his time to reporting on the growing homeless crisis that has been taking over Austin.
The city's been kind of battling this area for quite some time. As you can see, they're kind of losing the battle. This place has been cleaned probably 3 different times over the last year, and it just keeps coming back within a month or so. This is one of the normal drug camps here in Austin. A lot of dope is sold out here through the homeless community. You'll have a guy post up kind of like over in the trees, and people are walking through. You know, they're buying meth. You know, they can get high for $5. A lot of stolen property ends up out here. We just walked by somebody's ID back there just a second ago. Dope dealer usually sits right back here by this mattress. These are the other things that are really dangerous out here. It's the poop buckets. For whatever reason, the homeless folks, they tend to use the restroom in buckets. So when you're hiking out through the Greenbelt, if you see a 5-gallon bucket, I wouldn't touch it.
While this first camp seemed pretty cleaned up, Jamie took us to a second encampment, which was on a public walking trail that was a part of Austin's Greenbelt, the lush hiking trails and forests that surround the city. And honestly, what we found there was truly shocking.
On the Greenbelt, when you're walking and you see an area where there's not much vegetation, it's an area that's been cleaned by the city. And you can see there's, you know, needles, medical things, razors. There's stuff that will always be here. They can never perfectly, you know, clean these places. It'll always be a homeless camp. There's a lot of needles. I mean, if you look around, you'll see, you know, pieces of needles, pieces of saline, big needles, little needles. And of course, if you listen to the people that run this city, they say it's because of diabetics, but I don't think so.
There are so many needles on the ground. I mean, this one right here has some type of fluid in it. There's caps all over the place. And the deeper we go into this encampment, the more needles we're finding. And there's a lot of wildlife in this area, and they're digging through all of this trash too.
An open garbage bag full of needles tossed just feet from homes in a southeast Austin neighborhood.
A mom is frustrated after finding needles and trash scattered just feet away from her son's elementary school in South Austin.
I've found exposed needles with the tip on at the playground shoved up underneath the wood. So my son's not allowed to play here anymore, and it's really sad. And I've had to teach him what a needle is. Like, you don't want to teach your 5-year-old that kind of stuff.
I had no idea that there are this many needles in Austin. That's crazy. This reminds me of when I was in Kensington Avenue in Philadelphia. I'm truly shocked to see this in Texas.
Yeah, and you know, like this was a structure at one point. This was the floor. It was a camp. It was a pretty massive camp, and it caught on fire. This was a few months ago. You can see the trees, just how much burned. I mean, a good, 25, 30 yard area. The fire department, they did come out and put it out. They almost couldn't access it because of the creek. They had to lay hoses out through the creek, and it's this situation right here that's so dangerous, because a lot of these camps are in places that the fire department can't access, and if it catches on fire, especially in our dry season, a whole greenbelt can go up, a whole neighborhood. What happened in California just not too long ago could happen here.
After seeing the amount of exposed needles on the trails, I wanted to find out where they were coming from and stumbled upon the Texas Harm Reduction Alliance. This organization is handing out free needles, free pipes. They even gave me 4 different kinds depending on which type of drug use, I was interested in. They also, again, are handing out Narcan, condoms, even the cookers and the rubbers that anybody needs to use for proper drug use. These are very similar to the programs that have completely destroyed San Francisco, and I was truly shocked to see this here in Austin, Texas. Now, this area labels itself a safe space for drug users, and when I came to this location to pick up this harm reduction kit, there were so many people outside of this area that were strung out on drugs. One of the first things that I experienced in walking in was a man who was screaming about how his wife was gang raped and then forced into an abortion. The staffers were kind of just listening to him talk and then laughed him off. They took me to the back and they gave me this big bag of supplies, and once I was inside, there were so many signs on the walls reading, "Hey, you can use drugs in the bathroom, just make sure to tell somebody," and basically encouraging drug use. Now, not only that, but a woman was sitting on a couch and her dog apparently had gotten into her drug supply, so the dog was freaking out. It was just a very chaotic environment, and this is right next to other small businesses, by the way, and we're also about a half a mile away from the church. So I just wanted to give you guys an example of some of the organizations that are here in Austin. I was truly shocked to see this. This isn't the only one, by the way. There's another one called Vivent Help. LifePoint, they offer similar services. It's just disappointing because I have seen how these exact same programs have completely destroyed San Francisco. I've spoken to other addicts as well who even say that these programs have destroyed their cities and only enable drug addiction, and even the homeless agree. What's the craziest thing that you've seen on the streets here in Austin?
Just the stuff they get away with out here. These guys sit here and do drugs right here on the sidewalk, right in front of the police going by. The cops don't do nothing about it. There's more homeless people here than I've ever seen in my life. I've been all over the country in the last couple of years. They got way more homeless problem here than I've seen anywhere.
It's getting pretty crazy. What kind of drugs are you seeing on the street?
Mostly methamphetamines, mostly meth and crack. It seems like everybody's strung out on them.
We were walking along some of the hiking trails because we were looking at some of the homeless encampments, and there were so many exposed needles. I was kind of shocked.
Everywhere. You don't see a needle, you see one of those little glass pipes they smoke it out of, or a shooter they smoke the crack out of, or something. Just laying around everywhere.
Do you know where they get the needles from?
Yeah, usually from Public Square. They pass them out for free every Sunday. Means you want.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's crazy.
I've seen a lot of crazy stuff. Overdoses, people getting killed. Me and my buddies, we were all chilling, in this little campsite, right, getting high and stuff. And then, all of a sudden, I see this dude walking. I knew the dude walking up behind him also. He's walking up behind him, and, just, calm as day, and then he gets a machete and hacks him right in the face. And then, we got up, started running, and then, then as he was running, he got shot, and then, he fell. And then, the other guy came up and tried to get the bullet out with the machete.
You only live on the streets if you have the desire and you want to. Okay, the devil's here for real.
Now, the homeless are some of the most honest people you'll ever meet, and after telling me about their experiences on the streets, they then shared their struggles with drug use.
Once I got into heroin, it escalated so quickly. I was already out of my grandma's house because she kicked me out. I was living in the woods. Yeah, pretty bad heroin addict. Still am, but now there's no more heroin around, so now I'm on fentanyl.
They flooded this whole city with a bunch of homeless people. Now they're flooding it with drugs. The methamphetamines here, they're spending like $30 for 3.5 grams. They call it an 8-ball. If you go up towards the Amarillo, where my little brother lives, they pay $225 an 8-ball. They're enabling them. They're giving them all the paraphernalia they need, and they're almost giving them all the drugs they need for free.
I've been manic depressive bipolar disorder all my life. My dad was schizophrenic. So I've been on medication, but I've also been on drugs. I've tried it all. I'm 62 years old, and I'm done. Like I said, I have 12 months clean and sober, and this is it. I have great-grandchildren to go home to.
Back in 2019, the city of Austin passed an open camping ordinance that allowed public camping throughout the city, which resulted in the homeless crisis in Austin exploding overnight. And a short 2 years later, in 2021, citizens voted to rescind the order. However, the can of worms had already been opened, and today, Austin has around 7,000 homeless people in the city on an average day. And reports of machete attacks, neighbors being threatened by chainsaw-wielding homeless men, businesses being harassed, and drug overdoses have become common headlines for Austin. We sat down with Austin resident Harrison Smith for an Austinite's perspective on the crisis.
There's homeless people that will attack you. I've had family members attacked. My sister has been attacked. She goes to UT medical school, and they have to have escorts to walk people from the parking lot to the hospital. A quarter of the time that I'm parking at church, we get accosted by some weirdo homeless people they'll shout inappropriate stuff at us. We're there with my kids all dressed up, and you hear these two, grime-covered weirdos talking about having sex in a dumpster. Just last Thanksgiving, we had a cousin from out of town. It was early in the morning. She thought, I'll just walk over to Harrison's house, and starts walking down the street and literally got attacked by a crazy homeless person, had to run into the street, almost got hit by a car, and it's just insane. And you just think, why is the place that I live dangerous for people to come and visit? Is this not a first world nation? It makes it embarrassing to be from Austin. But I think Americans have sort of fallen for this lie that all of this stuff is just intractable. There's nothing you can do about it. There's all this chaos, there's all this crime, but it's the modern world, that's just what the modern world is like. And then you go to somewhere like Japan and you're like, wait, they're both more modern than us and they don't have all of the crap we have to deal with. We could have a high trust society. We could have a safe and functional society. It just takes wanting to do that. And it genuinely seems like, especially in Austin, our city council does not want to do that. It's just a condition that we shouldn't have to live with and that is entirely fabricated from city policy. It didn't used to be this way. And then they passed a ordinance that said homeless people can camp anywhere except for City Hall. And this is the craziest part of all of it, is there was not a big homeless issue. There were homeless people, but it wasn't an overwhelming concern. Then the city council passed a law saying you can camp anywhere in the city except for on their property, except for where they go to work and in government buildings. They do not do anything ever that actually makes things better. It's basically impossible for that to be an accident. It's got to be on purpose. It's the only possible explanation for how it's been so bad for so long.
Back when they took the camping ban away, it let people out of the woods. They're on the street. Homelessness doubled overnight. They put the camping ban back in place, yet it's not enforced. Over the last, couple of months, I check on it ever so often. There's been one ticket for the camping ban. The city comes in, they will clean these places out, and then the homeless they're going to move right back into this area, and they'll start over. They'll be back out here within another few months to clean it again. It's millions of dollars just going right down the tube without enforcement.
Once you open the can of worms, there's really no going back.